بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين صلى الله وسلم وبارك على المبعوث به رحمة للعالمين نبينا وإمامنا محمد بن عبد الله عليه من ربه أفضل الصلاة والتسليم أما بعد. Firstly, I say to you all, تقبل الله منا ومنكم صالح الأعمال وهنيئا لكم بإذن الله عز وجل. Congratulations upon finishing your Hajj, which is one of the 5 pillars of Islam, as you all know. And I ask Allah Azza wa Jalla to accept it from all of us, to make it a Hajj mabrur, your sins to be forgiven, and for Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala to allow you to go back to your countries better than what you were before. Because the people of knowledge, they mention من علامات الحج المبرور وأنه متقبل مقبول عند الله عز وجل, from the signs that the Hajj is accepted by Allah, that is a good Hajj, a blessed Hajj, is that the person increases and the person becomes better than what he was before he made a Hajj. If the person was doing good before he came on Hajj, he was religious, pious, he was in the masajid, reciting the Quran, taking care of his family, eating from the halal, looking after his children, all of the good things that he was supposed to be doing, paying the zakat, is that when he returns back from the Hajj, he becomes ahsan, and he stays in the masjid even more. He gives even more sadaqah. He's even kinder to his family, to his neighbors. And he gives it, and so on and so forth. He sees even more in besides the Quran. And if a person, before he came on Hajj, if he was doing things that were bad, say it, not praying in jama'ah, shaving his beard, smoking, drinking intoxicants, so on and so forth, any type of sins or disobedience, selling or eating from that which was haram, is that when he gets back to his country, يصير من سيء إلى حسن. He becomes good. He may not be up here, but it's better. It's better. And this benefit here is mentioned by our Sheikh Abdul Muhsin Abad al-Badr, he explained this in more than one occasion. This is from the signs that your Hajj is mabrur. So look at yourselves. Do you feel a difference? Do you see a difference? There should be an instant change. But especially when you get back to your country, when you get back to the things that you're accustomed to, your friends and your family members, and your affairs are quote unquote normal, then you can really see. You can really see what the Hajj did for you. Either it's going to make you or it's going to break you. Did it increase you in patience? Did it increase you in taqwa? Did you learn and benefit from the classes, from the fatwa of the mashayikh and the ulama and the tulab al-ilm, and being around the Muslims and living in Mecca and praying at the Kaaba? Or was it just something that was suri, something that was just superficial, it just looks good, it feels good, labbaik Allahumma labbaik, but did it actually change your life? And this is from the maqasid, the objectives of the Hajj, as the people of knowledge mentioned, is that a person thinks about death, is that a person thinks about standing in front of Allah, and that a person increases and learns ilman wa amalan wa hudan, knowledge, action, and guidance. So we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to give all of this to us. Ameen. Bi'idhnillahi azza wa jalla, I don't know how many brothers were here last Hajj. We did a dars. We were speaking about the issue of wiping over your socks and over your hoofs. We did a dars fiqh dars on this. So bi'idhnillahi azza wa jalla, this year we're going to do another dars pertaining to fiqh, inshallah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam has explained to us in the authentic hadith, the hadith of Muawiyah ibn Sufyan radiyallahu anhu, man yuridillahu bihi khayran yufaqihu fi din wa innama yu'ti Allahu wa ana qasim, aw kama qala sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He says that whoever Allah wants good for, He gives them proper understanding of the religion. Whoever Allah wants mercy for, whoever Allah wishes to bless, He gives him fiqh of the deen. He knows what to do, what not to do, of the halal and of the haram. And the Prophet ﷺ, he said, Allah is the only one who actually gives, and I am nothing but one who passes out what Allah gives. I'm a distributor of what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala actually gives. This is a very important part of the hadith, is that the knowledge that you learn from someone is only from Allah, and you only taking that knowledge via his hand. No one possesses the ilm unless it's given by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So ask Allah to increase us on fiqh. The book that we read from last year was the book of the Imam Ibn Qudama, rahimahullah ta'ala, al-Maqdisi, the Umdat al-Fiqh. The chapter that I've selected, he says, Babu Salat al-Musafir. The chapter of the traveler's prayer. It's a very important issue. The Salah, kama ta'rifun, as you all know, is the second pillar of Islam. And right now you're all traveling. And for some time you're going to be traveling. And many of you, when you get back to America, you're going to travel to other cities and other states or maybe other countries. So traveling is something that is, with many people, bururi. It's a necessity. Many people have to work to earn a living and travel. Is this not the case? Many of us, on a daily basis, from city to city, town to town, state to state. Some people have to travel from continent to continent. And if you have to travel, what's important for you to travel, you like to travel, as a Muslim, you know that you have to offer the Salah. No matter where you are, no matter what situation you're in, the Salah is obligatory. Upon men, upon women, upon those who have knowledge, upon those who are ignorant, upon the rich, upon the poor, upon the black, the white, the Arabs, the Hispanics. Any Muslim has to pray. If you're sick or healthy, you have to offer the Salah. Standing up, sitting down, lying on your side, lying on your back. As the Prophet ﷺ said to Imran ibn Hussein when he went to him and he complained that he had an illness. It was mentioned in the narration that it was hemorrhoids. He had a problem with sitting down. So the Prophet ﷺ said, صَلِّ قَائِمًا فَإِن لَمْ تَسْتَطِعْ فَقَاعِدًا فَإِن لَمْ تَسْتَطِعْ فَعَلَى جَنْبٍ وفي رواية النسائي فَإِن لَمْ تَسْتَطِعْ فَمُسْتَلْقِيًا. He says, pray standing up. If you cannot pray standing up, then pray sitting down. If you cannot offer the Salah sitting down, then pray lying on your side. If you cannot pray lying on your side, then pray lying on your back. And the hadith is in Sahih Bukhari. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said in the Quran, الَّذِينَ يَذْكُرُونَ اللَّهَ قِيَامًا وَقُعُودًا وَعَلَى جُنُوبِهِمْ وَيَتَفَكَّرُونَ فِي خَلْقِ السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ. Allah says, those who mention Allah, standing, sitting, lying down. There's never a time which the believer cannot make the Salah. As a person if he's in a coma, as the Shaykh ibn Uthaymeen rahimahullah ta'ala mentioned, if he's in a coma, he can't move none of his body parts, his eyes, nothing. He can pray with his heart. There's never a time in which you do not offer the Salah. And there's unfortunate that many people, they tell people this, oh, you don't have to pray if you're extremely sick. Oh, you don't have to pray if you work in this job, you're around Kufar, you're in the airport, you don't have to offer the Salah. So come on. The Salah is obligatory. As the Prophet ﷺ said, وَأَيُّمَا رَجُلٍ مِنْ أُمَّتِي أَدْرَكَتْهُ الصَّلَاةُ فَلْيُصَلِّي. He says, any man upon whom the time of prayer comes, let him offer the Salah, whatever he is. Because this is something that is special for this ummah. As the Prophet ﷺ has explained in another authentic hadith, جُعِلَتْ لِلْأَرْضُ مَسْجِدًا وَطَهُورًا وفي رواية جُعِلَتْ لَنَا. He says the earth, the entire earth, has been made as a place of to pray, to offer the Salah, and purification. The point we're trying to make with these ayat and the hadith is that there isn't a time or a place or a situation in which you don't have to pray. So traveling and Salah, hand in hand, khayran inshallah. You have to understand that there are several issues of traveling. When do you offer the Salah? When do you shorten the Salah? How far do you have to travel? How long do you stay? Kathir. Inshallah Azza wa Jalla, we want to focus on the main rulings and the usas, the foundations of these rulings. You have a basic understanding of them. Even if it's just one opinion, it will help you to go and move ahead and take the bigger or more deeper issues, or even attack or tackle some of the khilaf. But we want to have at least a basic understanding of the most important issues, even if it's upon one code. Because we know that the general Muslim, a 9-to-5 Muslim, he shouldn't busy himself with the ikhtilafat or the khilafat of the ulama and of the fuqaha. Ahmed, Malik, Shafi'i, Ibn Uthaymeen, al-Albani is going to become confused if he doesn't study, if he doesn't know the Arabic language and the terms and so on and so forth. So he should take that which is easy and simple, from the alim that he trusts and he respects, from the alim whose knowledge, whose deen, whose amana he feels comfortable with. If you have understanding of that basic one view, alhamdulillah. If you can have a dalil with it, that's even better. And then later on, if you continue to study, you can understand the bigger issues or the khilaf of position. For all that. So Ibn Qudamah, rahimahullah ta'ala, in his book, he only mentions one opinion. He says, rahimahullah ta'ala, وإذا كانت مسافة سفره 16 فرسخا وهي مسيرة يومين قاصدين وكان مباحا له فله قصر رباعية خاصة. The first point he says, if a person's journey, if a person's trip equals 16 farsakh. 16 farsakh, we know in the past they had a different means of estimating and calculating distance. A farsakh, or 16 farsakh, is approximately 80 kilometers. It's approximately 70 to 80 kilometers, which is approximately how many miles? We would say about what? 50 miles maybe. Tayyib. So here, this is the asl al-mas'ala, is when are you allowed to break or to do the things with regards to the traveler's prayer? How far do you have to go from your country? Ibn Qudamah says 16 farsakh, which means, or what is equivalent to 80 kilometers, which is equivalent to approximately 50 miles. Tayyib? Everybody got this? Yeah. So therefore, if you're in New Jersey or New York and you travel going outside of your city with a distance of 80 kilometers or 50 miles, he says here, the second condition, or before that he says, وَهِيَ مَسِيرُ يَوْمَيْنِ قَاصِدَيْنِ, which is also equivalent 2 days of travel. 2 days of travel, meaning upon horse, camel, donkey, so on and so forth. The means of travel during those times. To keep it simple, we would say, because there are different narrations about a day and a night, we'll keep it simple. We'll say, if a person travels the distance of 50 miles from his original city, then he has officially began his safar. He has began his journey or his trip. Tayyib. Ibn Qudamah, he says, mubahan lahu, meaning that the trip is a lawful trip. That a person is going to do something which is lawful for him to do. Tayyib? Meaning he's going to visit his mother, he's going to make hajj, he's going to get some money to provide for his family. He's not going to do something haram. Something which is impermissible for him to do. Okay? And there's some scholars who say, another condition, they say that rather the person's trip must be a trip of obedience. And going to safar ta'a. That it must be going to make hajj or jihad or seeking ilm. And there's a third view, scholars who say that a person, whenever he travels, then it's the ruling of travel. Obedience to Allah Azza wa Jal, something that is from the worldly life, or something which is even haram or disliked. Al-Muhim is that a person is what? Traveling. That the Muslim is what? He's traveling. Everybody got this? So according to this opinion, if a person travels for 70 kilometers, 80 kilometers, a permissible trip, something that's permissible for him to do, he says then he is allowed to shorten the prayer of 4 units to 2 units. Khasatan, that's it. Meaning, if it's a prayer of 3 rak'at, la yaqsir. He's not to shorten the prayer. If it's a prayer of 2 rak'at or rak'atayn, la yaqsir. He's not to shorten it. If it's a prayer of 1 rak'at, such as what? Witr, mathalan, la yaqsir. Then he is not to shorten it. All that? He says he's only to shorten the 4 unit prayers. Fine. Now, this here is the a mas'ala, a foundation of the issue, is when is a person considered a traveler. Some scholars say whenever the people consider it to be a journey or a trip, and it is considered safar. 70 kilometers, 40 kilometers, 100 kilometers. Al-Muhim, the people they consider it to be what? Safar. Such as if a person went from North Jersey to New York City. Methodland. طيب. Is it possible to go from North Jersey to New York City in less than 50 miles? ممكن? Not ممكن. طيب. Another city inside of New Jersey. Is it possible to travel from two cities in less than 50 miles?
Yes.
If you're on the border, ممكن. It's ممكن. It's possible. طيب. Perhaps leaving from North Jersey to New York City may be possible. Al-Muhim is that they consider that a foreign town, a different city. And a person is considered a outsider or out of towner, as they say. He's traveling. So they say anything that the people consider to be safar is safar, and it's not restricted to a distance. The safest view to leave off the khilaf is to go with the estimation of distance. It's to go with the what? Estimation of distance. Because some people, they may say, I consider myself a traveler in New York City. Others may say, no, it's not a travel. We're right across the tunnel. So they have the different khilafat. Al-Muhim, do we travel for 50 miles, for 70 or 80 kilometers? Khalas, safar. And that would stop all of the niza, the difference of opinion. Alright? If there was an amir of the trip, we're going to go with this one opinion and khalas. We're not going to differ and fight, we're traveling. Alright? And it's the benefit of knowing some of the basic simple opinions. Right, moving on. Imam Ibn Qudama, rahimahullah ta'ala, or before we move on, we must also know that the scholars mention that if a person continually travels, such as a pilot, or a truck driver, or a merchant, someone who travels all of the time, the ruling applies to him, even if he travels all year round. Because many Muslims, they may say in America, you cannot shorten your prayer every single time. Because you keep, this rule only applies to people who travel every now and then. No. It's a general ruling. If a person's job all of the time necessitates for him to travel back and forth, then he continues to shorten his salah. Well, shorten, or similarly, is the ruling of, or similarly, fasting. As long as he has some time to make up those days. Right, moving on. Ibn Qudama, rahimahullah ta'ala, he says here, may Allah have mercy upon the author, وَكَانَ مُبَاحًا لَهُ فَلَهُ قَصْرُ رُبَاعِيَّةِ خَاصَةً. Back to that last point, he says, إِلَّا أَنْ يَأْتَمَّ بِمُقِيمٍ, unless he is praying behind someone who is a resident. Meaning, if you pray by yourself, or if you pray amongst other travelers, you can shorten Dhuhr to 2 rak'ah, Asr to 2 rak'ah, Isha to 2 rak'ah. But if you pray in a masjid or a gas station, and the imam of the salah is a resident, then you have to follow him. You have to do what? You have to follow him, because the Prophet ﷺ said, إِنَّمَا جُعِلَ الْإِمَامُ لِيُؤْتَمَّ بِهِ. The imam has only been made to be followed. Moving on. Imam Ibn Qudama, rahimahullah ta'ala, says, أَوْ لَمْ يَنْوِي الْقَصْرَ. He says, or if a person, he offered the salah, and he didn't have the intention to shorten his prayer. That you're traveling, you stopped at the rest stop, you made the iqamah or the adhan, and you said Allahu Akbar for Salat al-Dhuhr. And in the second rak'ah, you remembered, you finished the tashahhud, and you went to salam out. But you remembered that when you made takbir, you made the intention just to make Salat al-Dhuhr. And you didn't have the intention of making qasr. Imam Ibn Qudama and other scholars, they say the person cannot make qasr, because he has to have the intention from the beginning. Everybody got this issue? Is that if a person did not shorten his prayer from the beginning, Ibn Qudama says that he cannot shorten it. And other scholars, they say rather it's a general rule and it applies. Whether you make the niyyah or not to shorten the prayer, you're traveling, the distance, permissible trip, you can shorten the salah. And that's the strongest view. And that is the strongest view. Tayyib, moving on. He says here, أو ينسى صلاة حضر فيذكرها في السفر أو صلاة سفر فيذكرها في الحضر فعليه الإتمام. He says here, Another instance in which a person cannot shorten his prayer, even though he's traveling, is for a person to if a person forgot to make a prayer when he was at home, and now he's traveling. Okay? For example, let's say a man traveled after Asr. So the adhan for Asr came, or he traveled just before the adhan for Asr. He's on the road now. He's traveled 70 miles. 65 miles. And he stops and he makes Salatul Asr. How many rak'at is he going to make? 2. And then he remembers that he didn't make Salatul Dhuhr. He didn't make Salatul Dhuhr. When Salatul Dhuhr came in, he was where?
Home.
He was home. So he says, is that if he remembers that he didn't make Salatul Dhuhr, he has to make Salatul Dhuhr with how many rak'at? 2 or 4? 4. Well, there, because the Dhuhr prayer was obligatory when he was a resident, not when he was a musafir, not when he was a traveler. And there's these issues here. Some of them can be a little technical, but they're very, very important. Okay? I didn't pray Salatul Dhuhr. What do I do now? 2 or 4? And Qudama says you make them as they were obligatory upon you. All 4. Well, there. He goes on to the next point. أو صلاة سفر فيذكرها في الحضر. Or he remembers that he missed the prayer when he was traveling, but now he's home. Ibn Qudama says he is not allowed to shorten that prayer anymore. Now he has to make the prayer 4. May Allah prevent, let's say he forgot to make Salatul Asr one day when he was traveling, and he came home after Salatul Maghrib. He made Salatul Maghrib and he remembered that he didn't pray Asr. Ibn Qudama says he has to make how many rak'at for Asr? 2 or 4? 4. But when he was traveling, he could have made 2. All that? Everybody got this? So what's important, the most important movement is where you are. Where you are. And when the prayer came and went out, where you were. Moving on, he says here, وَلِلْمُسَافِرِ أَنْ يُتِمَّ. The next point, he says, and the traveler is allowed to make a full and complete salah. The traveler is allowed to make a what? Complete salah. Meaning, shortening the prayer is only optional. Shortening the salah is what? Is optional. And this is the opinion of many of the ulama, many of the fuqaha, if not most of them. That when you're traveling, it is not obligatory to shorten the salah. And other scholars, they say rather, it is obligatory when you're traveling that you shorten your 4-unit prayers. We stick with this one view, is that it is a rukhsa. As the Prophet ﷺ said, صَدَقَةٌ تَصَدَّقَ اللَّهُ بِهَا عَلَيْكُمْ فَاقْبَلُوا صَدَقَتَهُ. أو كما قال عليه الصلاة والسلام. He says it is a charity that Allah Azza wa Jalla has given you, so accept His charity. Meaning, shortening the prayers is a means of sadaqah. So some scholars, they say this hadith clearly proves that a person has the option to shorten the prayer or make it the full length of the prayer. And other scholars, they say the exact opposite. They say this hadith proves that it's obligatory because the Prophet ﷺ said, فَقْبَلُوا. He says, accept the charity of Allah Azza wa Jalla. And it's unbefitting for a slave to reject the gift and the offering of his master. لا يليق بعبد أن يرفض هدية السيد. If the master offers him something, it's unbefitting for him to reject it. Sahih? So there's an issue of khilaf. Well, moving on to the next point. Imam Ibn Qudama rahimahullah, he says, وَالْقَصْرُ أَفْضَلُ. And it is best, he says, for a person to shorten his prayer. Even though it's optional, the sunnah is that you do what? Shorten the salah. Is that you shorten the salah. And the dalil for this is the hadith that we just mentioned. And also the Prophet ﷺ constantly, or every time he traveled, he always made the prayer rak'atain. And that's another dalil of the ulama who say that it's obligatory. Is that the Prophet ﷺ على كثرة أسفاره وغزواته لم يتم مرة واحدة. How many times the Prophet ﷺ traveled, how many military expeditions and battles, he never made the prayer with 4 rak'at. Al-Muhim. Ibn Qudama rahimahullah says here, وَمَنْ نَوَى الْإِقَامَةَ. أكثر من 21 صلاة أتمّ وإن لم يجمع على ذلك قصر أبدا. Ibn Qudamah rahimahullah ta'ala, he says, and whoever intends to stay in a place for more than 21 salah, for more than 21 prayers, then he is to make his prayer like a normal resident. Tell you, how many days in 21 prayers? How many days are 21 prayers? 5. How many prayers in each day? 5. So how many prayers will be included in 21?
2 days.
That? 4 days. Asanta. 4 days. Tayyib, same thing. 4 days, 21 salawat. Estimate, al-muhim, if a person intends to go to a place and stay in a place for more than 4 days, then he says he has to do what? He's no longer allowed to do qasr. He must now make itmam. فهمنا الصورة والمثل قبل الدليل وقبل الخلاف. فهمنا الصورة? We all got the point? طيب, who can give me an example of this? Give me an example of what he just said, a real life example.
I have I'm working on that board.
Right.
So I spend like almost 60 to 70 days.
On the board?
Yeah.
Right.
All the time when I'm there, I do no qasr.
You do no qasr?
Yeah.
Good example?